Hi, I'm Kyle, and on this episode of the MWA podcast, Sean and I are asking Brian Crano the 5 questions. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out his interview on episode 556. So welcome back to the show, Brian.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Well, good. Well, we can't wait to get into the 5 questions, but we might have some stuff you're interested in the woodworking news. So
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, before we get too much further in the woodworking news, I do want to point out that Haystack Mountain School of Crafts currently has some open spaces in select summer workshops. Spaces in the workshops and housing are limited, and applications are processed on a rolling first-come, first-served basis. So to see that workshop info, visit haystack-mtn.org. I'll have a link in the show notes to that.
Absolutely.
So next up, which Brian might be interested in, is Harvey has a new bandsaw out.
Yeah. I need to get that up the stairs.
Yeah. Hey.
I will say about those guys, they're super nice. Their headquarters here is about 3 miles from my parents' house, so I can drop in on them at any time and play with their stuff, and it's all great. Everything I have from them has been great, and their customer service too.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, yes, they have a new bandsaw. It's called the Alpha A15. So it's a 15-inch bandsaw. I think it has a throat clearance of like 14.5 inches and a resaw capacity of 15 inches. And so it's, between that 14 and 16 inch, but they say it is intelligent. Yes, it does have a touch screen on it. You can tilt the table with just a spin of your finger. You can modify the tension with a spin of your finger. And it also has 2 speeds, so it can cut it. I think it's 4,300 RPMs or 2,300 RPMs. So the slower speed might be good for green wood or some non-ferrous metals and some stuff like that, and then high speed for your typical woodworking stuff. And it has a voice-controlled LED light and a lot of interesting features.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how tested this tech is. I'm sure Harvey's not pulling on something out that's not really good. But optical sensors to sense belt pulley position and speeds and stuff like that's. I don't have a bandsaw personally. My father does, and it's the old. You got to switch belts on the top side to change speeds and turn the dial for tension. Like, putting this to an electronic, if it's accurate and sustainable, I hate to see this fail after time, because then what do you do? But that's very interesting that you can, because that's so important. But anybody who is an artisan of the bandsaw knows the tricks of the trade to get the right tension, the right speeds for this whatever you're cutting or however you're cutting, blade, species, otherwise. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah. The other thing is it comes with their Big Eye fence, which I guess it's the modified version for their table saw, which has gotten rave reviews for the one that they have for their, it's been modified for the bandsaw, but the actual fence they first introduced for the table saw, and that's gotten rave reviews. So
it's really nice.
Yeah.
It's
you have one.
Really nice.
Okay.
No, I don't have it. I played with it, and it's very, very smooth and very accurate, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And if they would like to send me one, I will accept it. And I'll carry it up the stairs myself.
Yeah.
Add this feature to the one that you didn't have on your bingo card for a bandsaw was voice-controlled work light.
Yep. Exactly.
So you can say, "Hey, whatever, brighter."
Yes.
or whatever. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But useful. I mean, honestly, you can say like, "Oh, geez, I'm crowding. There's a shadow of something. Hey, brighten it up so I can see what the hell I'm doing." Like that's actually a convenience I hadn't thought of, but pretty cool.
But yeah, we'll have a link to this in the show notes. But yeah, you could spend a good 30 minutes going through all the features and stuff that this thing has.
Full.
The only downside is the price.
Yes.
It's $6,800. So it's not inexpensive. At that point, that's my only question is the price on this thing, and saying, if I'm spending this kind of money, am I spending it on a 15-inch bandsaw?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
The payoff is the hands-on, right?
You got to see Is this an upgrade to your existing 15-inch by the features it presents, or is it not for you? I mean, it's for someone for sure. If you were in the market and had the budget, I wouldn't doubt this. I mean, Brian, you have an obviously less smart version of this in some way.
Now, who knows if these are pre or post tariff pricing?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So that, I'm sitting here looking at it now, and by the time this podcast is dropped, the whole tariff scene has probably changed a couple of times. But anyway, at this point, it's So who knows about that?
Well, and they will definitely send you 3 emails a day about the exact pricing of this machine. And,
that's true. Harvey does have that on-demand pricing, so to speak.
Yeah.
It'd be good. I mean, look into it. I mean, they make quality tools. This is very interesting. This is akin to, and I forget who made it, the drill presses just a few years ago. That
Nova,
then they had like the auto backing and digital,
they still make them.
Guide, like all of that stuff was really, really cool, and you can see the use for it pretty quickly. I think this is kind of on the same path.
Yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
totally.
Yeah. Well, next up is something from Blue Spruce Toolworks, and they have a leather assembly mallet. And when I looked at this, I went, I probably need one of these.
Gorgeous.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
They are gorgeous.
What this is everyone's familiar, I think, at this point in time with the resin-infused blue spruce mallets, the little round ones. Well, this is basically the same thing, except for the mallet head is made up of sandwiched layers of leather in that same kind of curve. It looks exactly the same, except the head of this thing is made out of, I guess.
It eerily matches the curly maple head on mine.
These laminated pieces of leather. And what they've said is they have found a process where you can use this and the layers of the leather will not delaminate, so it won't split apart or anything like that. So this looks like pretty nice for assembly mallet, and it's going on my wish list, that's for sure.
I'm interested. I mean, they've got kind of like brass like fittings on either side of the leather, which obviously are bolted down to squeeze them together. I wonder the deformation.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's looks like it's vegetable tan leather, which is infused with tannins from leaves and branches and stuff.
Okay.
I think it'll be fine. I mean, if they think of a sole of a shoe or a stacked heel, something like that. If it'll survive you out in the trenches, it'll probably take a little bit of furniture abuse.
And I guess the distinguishment that I'm thinking of is this is they say an assembly mallet. So this is hitting elements of some build likely flat surfaces, not a chisel.
No.
So there's the functional difference there. If you hit something too
this is
sharp,
strictly for furniture assembly. Yeah.
I want to know what it sounds like.
Like putting dovetails together or mortise and tenons.
Like I want to know the thump that it hits with.
Yeah.
Well, they said it was about the same weight, right? It's about,
which is interesting. As I'm holding mine, Brian, you got yours. And they're hefty. In not just in the head, the handle also has a little oof to it, and these are if they're still the same relative handle on the leather assembly. I'm interested.
They must have a pretty beefy steel rod in there.
I would assume as much.
Yeah,
I would assume.
So anyway,
Kyle, let me know.
Okay, all right.
Get yours.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's on my wish list.
That's a Christmas list right there.
Okay,
for sure.
All right, and next, something that's not on my wish list. Ooh, did I burn the lead there? Anyway, it is the Woodpecker's new indexable joiner combination square. So they've come out with these indexable squares. They look really neat, and I think it's a good design. But here, I think they might have gone too far. So instead of having a normal combination square with a 45 on one side or a double square where it's square on both sides, this one has dovetail angles on one, so it's got 1/6, 1/7, or 1/8 dovetail angles on the side of this instead of the 45 like most combination squares. So the gimmick here is that you can lay out your dovetail stuff. So I think this would be really good if you did dovetails all day long. Besides that, I would rather have a traditional combination square or something like that. I don't know. This just doesn't make a lot of sense for me, because I think if you're doing dovetails that much, then you're going to have one of those little dovetail markers that a number of people sell. Lost Art Press or Crucible Tools has one. I think a number of makers at Sterling Toolworks makes one. There's a number of makers out there that make these little things that'll mark out your dovetails for you. So I don't know. And
I will
and
say,
when I was looking into this, I said, I thought Woodpeckers made one, because I think I have one from Woodpeckers. And I went, yes, it was one of their one-time tools that was discontinued. So they no longer make their own little dovetail marker. So anyway.
So
that's my 2 cents. Y'all may disagree with me. But.
No, I mean, my only thought, I don't cut dovetail, so my only thought is, like, is it a little more ergonomic to hold?
It might be
just in
it's
use.
a little wider in the hand if you're addressing it like that. It individually, like Kyle, you mentioned the different pitches, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, not terribly priced.
No, well, see, that's what I thought at first too.
Okay.
Until I realized you have to buy the blades separately.
So
when I first looked at it, I went, that's only $55. Hey, that's not bad for, even a double square is more than that. And then I looked, the blades are separate. So it's
it does
almost
say
$100.
fits a blade of so you can get different blade inches. Okay. So all of a sudden then you get the slightly overpriced combo of all of the different heads and all of the blades for $190, which if you add up all the other options, that's a drastic savings, but it's an overpriced set of, you probably don't use it all.
Right.
Kind of tools.
It's tricky.
A lot going on there. Really a lot going on there. I like the idea of the indexable. Not everything is a precise increment. I kind of like relative joiner, like just relative dimensioning. Where it's what it gives me is what I'm working with. Not to a plan as much, but
well, for me, when I'm making stuff, jigs and all that kind of stuff, sometimes I have dimensions I'm trying to hit, so it's nice if I had something that's exactly 1 inch. That's why I use 1, 2, 3 squares like throughout all my stuff.
But I also I score with a blade more than I draw with a pencil, because I want where I want them, not necessarily an individual increment. I think of my chop saw. I've got an old DeWalt miter saw, and it has detents at 0, 22.5, and 45. If you want anything else in the middle, it's kind of a nightmare.
Good luck.
But there are ways, and you can get them, and there's variance, because my molding, my whatever isn't exactly those. It's something different.
Because when these things, for me, when these things first came out, I went, hey, that's pretty cool for some of the operations I do. I'd look into one of the double squares, and when I looked into it, it's $100, and I went, no, I don't think so.
I have the 6-inch and the 12-inch indexable combo squares from them, which I really like. The one thing I would say is the aluminum I don't know what the contraption part is called. The head. Having now used a PEC and a Starrett steel body one, those ones just feel more, like I've dented my aluminum head on my 6-inch.
Malleable metal,
and even with a knife, you can, if you're not careful, you can scrape it or whatever. So that I would love it if they did the exact same tool, but with a steel head. I would give them whatever money they ask for.
They will never.
Woodpecker.
They can't. They can't anodize it shiny red. They really.
I don't know. They've been doing some stuff in stainless steel.
I know.
They could have, like, I don't know.
Maybe someday.
A red aluminum insert, little label type thing in there.
Just
a
little
something like that.
Yeah, a little logo.
They need one that's more idiot proof for me. That's all I'm saying.
Well, speaking of true experience with woodpecker stuff, so you mentioned to me that you've actually used their router bits quite a bit.
Yeah,
Hey,
whenever
there's your pun, router bits quite a bit. Okay.
there we go. Whenever I order something from them, I just to fight the shipping, I just add a couple of bits just to have on hand. And as I've been doing all these box joints back here, I've been using their bits, and they've been perfect and crisp, and I think as good as or better than the Amanda's white sides, whatever.
Okay.
So
I was going to ask how they compare, but that's
they're a little cheaper than the white sides and the Manas and stuff, and they look like they've been made. I'm also real interested in their dado stack too that they came out with a few months ago. But anyway, so any listeners that have any experience with that, I would love to see.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting for some magazine to put some dado stack, shootout or something like that, because I only want to invest $300 in a dado stack once.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Since my dado stack I got on a special at Lowe's when they were closing out some. No, it's a fine dado stack. It's not the best in the world, but it's fine. It's fine. It's a reputable manufacturer. I can't remember off the top of my head. What's the big dado stack? One that has the dial-a-width dado that's like 300 and something.
Freud?
Freud, yeah.
Freud,
it's a Freud dado stack. They were closing them out at Lowe's. This is probably a decade ago, but it was like I picked it up for like $69.99.
Wow,
lovely
no,
deal.
You're not cutting a dado if you're not putting wafer shims in it, and
but anyway, well, what I have done is I did pick up like Infinity's like 1/4 inch flat bottom grooved blade, and I practically use that anytime I need to do a dado. I just offset it.
I just got the Ridge carbide version of that, which is awesome also. Yeah.
So, well, with that, let's thank our patrons. So who do we have to thank this week?
For sure. We'd like to give our big shout out to our Patreon supporters. And today we're shouting out our friend Buzz Buskirk. Fantastic name. Everyone know a guy named Buzz. I don't personally, but Buzz, thank you for your support. And if you would like to support the MWA podcast, you can go to patreon.com/MWA podcast and help us out there.
Fantastic. Well, let's get into the 5 questions. So, Brian, first up, what is your favorite tool? And as always, our limit is 20.
Okay, this was very difficult for me as like a little bit of a tool junkie, but I narrowed it down to 5, so I'm going to try and keep it civilized. Okay. So the first one is what we're sitting on right now. Is this bench, but that Benchcrafted made for me when I was getting started in my shop. I didn't want to take the time to build my own, but I did want a big lifetime kind of bench, and they did one for me in ash, and it is just the best thing in my shop by 100 times. Like it's so solid, it's so functional, everything as advertised, and very beautiful as well. So I asked Frank Straza what it would cost to get a bench from him, and then he told me, and I got the Benchcrafted one.
That's fair. But call back to previous episode. You're on the 4th floor of your house. How in the world did you get a Benchcrafted device up to there?
The whole bench.
It's knocked down. It comes into 5 pieces. So a couple of guys and a couple of
100 pounds.
It was better than some of the other things. The joiner, the bandsaw was a mess. The table saw was a real pain. But this was okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it's just perfectly made, came assembled. Like it was up here in an afternoon, and put a little finish on it, and it's been wonderful. So it's my favorite thing.
What hardware do you have on the vices?
I have I got I don't know which finish it is. It's the nice spinny one. Needs a little dry lube, I can tell. But
it's got the what is it? The cross.
The
cross.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then the tail vise, which I use all the time as well. So
awesome.
It's just fantastic bench. And then I put a little carver's number up here.
There you go.
For some extra wood holding. It's
nice.
and it's fantastic. And then, okay, number two. I went to Japan for my 40th birthday, and I bought myself this Tasai 1-inch chisel with a rosewood handle, and it's got, I think it's makume, or my Japanese is terrible, but the beautiful kind of laminated finish on it. And it took me a while to figure out how to use it and sharpen it. And now that I know how to do both of those things with a little bit better, it's just fantastic. And I love chisels, and I have many, but this is far and away the one that I reach for the most. And I encourage. It's expensive, but you only need one.
Yeah. That's your workhorse.
And it's the size I reach for the most too. I use one. All the time. Yeah.
And if I were to do it again, and I might sometime when I get brave, put a slightly heavier wood in for the handle. This is a little bit top heavy for me, but it's beautiful, and it cuts. I mean, just it stays sharp. It's wonderful. Speaking of sharp, my tool number 3 is Mike Farrington's sharpening jig, which if you guys are annoyed, I have tried every sharpening jig method, whatever. I've had limited success with some of them. This thing is genius. He flips the whole thing over. It's basically like a white kind of extruded thing that has set angles. You set the chisel on top of it, and you move the stone rather than moving the chisel over and back.
Oh.
And I saw him. I follow him. He's so smart and so interesting. And when the second I saw him do it, I was like, that is exactly how you should sharpen a chisel, and it requires no setup. And you can get so I just leave a couple of stones on my bench here, and you can get a chisel screaming sharp in 15 seconds. And it is fantastic. And it's like $50. It's some crazy $60 or something.
Yeah, it's like it's 65 what it looks like right now, but that I've actually never seen that before. That is really cool.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I haven't met anyone that's used it. So yeah, that is cool. Now, does it do plain blades too, or is it just strictly chisels?
No, you can do planes on it. You can do skew chisels. He's got there angles for. It has like a couple of different. It's got one that's like 1 degree off, so you can kind of bevel the end of a plain blade just a little bit. Yeah, and it's held up great. And now everything in my shop is sharp, and I don't complain, and I don't cry, and I don't use dull stuff because I'm lazy. It just makes it's a night and day difference to my whole process. So Mike is a hero, and check him out. All of his stuff is awesome and super interesting.
Cool.
That's very cool.
I'll add a link to it to his site in the show notes. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So okay, number 4 is the Incra LS table soft vents. So if you are like me, forgetful, or only mill exactly what you think you're going to need and not an inch of wood more, and then realize you broke half your stuff and need to do more. Having something like this thing, which is so precise and repeatable to like the most, to an infinitesimal degree, it is an incredible piece of machinery that I literally called Incra to thank them once I got it set up, just to be like, this is so cool. And it's for somebody who is like ADD and spaces out and makes a lot of mistakes. This is a wonderful piece of technology. And I like it a little bit more than the Harvey one after playing with the Harvey one, just because it does have like those detents, and you can dial it in so precisely in a way that you can on a Harvey as well. But it's so, that one is so smooth. It feels like you're wiggling a skateboard back and forth a little bit, where this one has a little bit more of like a cranked geared feel, which just for me made a little bit more sense. But it is, I don't know, it's maybe $600, but it's absolutely worth it in the wood that I haven't wasted and chucked.
Yeah. Well, it's probably cheaper than the Harvey. I think it's like $1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, it is cheaper. Yeah.
Yep.
And then the last one is going to be a weird one, but if you listen to the last episode, you'll know that my shop is in my attic, and I'm constantly fighting dust and have a sort of vacuum fetish. And I will say that the Makita HEPA shop vac whatever the biggest one that you can get is an excellent vacuum. And for me, compared to the 4 festival vacuums I have in the shop, easily twice as good. And I would never have thought that. I bought it on sale randomly, and it's fantastic. So those are my favorite tools.
You mentioned, again, previous episode, up in the attic, dust collection. There's no like cyclone dust collection?
I have 2.
Okay, fair. Okay.
Yeah, I got the I'll take you on a tour. I got the Oneida, whatever that little yellow guy is called. And that one works great, and that goes to my table saw and my
whatever. Yeah,
the Gorilla, or
I think it's a mini.
And then the that goes to the table saw, and then the belt sander, and then I have a Rockler one, which is makes less noise, so I'm suspicious that it's not doing as much, but it still picks up a lot of dust. But I wish it was louder, so I would feel like it was better.
It's the sound that makes it work,
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's efficient.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it might be, but it works great, and that's on
awesome.
all my other tools. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, have you looked at any of those like HEPA cleaners and stuff like that?
In fact, I have. You want to
In fact, I have.
Yeah, I have got a couple. I've got this Hilti one, which is a beast. This Hilti large unit is usually used for like concrete dust, but works great with sawdust. And then I have this guy up here, which is a jet air cleaner, which works great. And then I have a bunch of fans pulling air in and out of the attic windows. So it's we're doing our best, but the Makita really does the day-to-day floor and bench and etc.
You're doing a pretty good job. I mean, do you honestly, like, when you're working, do you turn multiple on depending?
Yeah.
Obviously the air cleaner is meant to be like kind of during and after, and there's a lot going on there. I mean, looking around it, as you showed us there, it's not a terribly dusty environment, and understanding that it very well could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's like, it's because there are eaves, there are sort of diagonal eaves on all. Think of a slanted roof, so things pool in the areas I can't get to as easily. But then I try my best to keep it tidy and safe, because all that lung stuff is scary. So
absolutely. And nothing's raining down through the floorboards into the level below you.
No, I put down like a what do you call it, like a crushed tire rubber flooring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which deadens the sound and also picks up, stops anything from going through. And it has there's no other real access to the rest of the house, but it also helped a lot with the noise. Helped a ton with the noise.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So
cool. Cool. All right, so we'll move on. Who has influenced you the most? And let's talk woodworking. Your filmmaking is a whole other thing.
Yeah, of course. Woodworking, I would have to say Christopher Schwartz's books, and then getting to go take a class with him last year was really amazing. It was sort of surreal, honestly, to have read so much of this material and have been watch so much of this guy's videos, and then just be like, we're talking about donut shops and lumber prices, and it was just very surreal to be there. But couldn't have been a nicer host. He and Megan and Lucy and the whole crew there. So if you get to stop in, they're lovely, wonderful people, and obviously a genius woodworker. And it was great to see both the classes I took a class from him, and I took a class from Phil Morley. It was great to see how they think about making stuff, as much as it was to make the project there. I was so interested in to see how they're thinking about problem solving, especially in a class environment when students are making a bunch of boneheaded mistakes, and then seeing them think through 10 steps ahead to the finished result. And that, both Chris and Phil, I felt like I learned so much just in how they're kind of looking at this as a whole process, not just a series of steps. And it was a really wonderful experience. So either of those guys, if you can get a class with them, well worth it. Both lovely people and incredible, craftsmen and builders and designers. It's incredible. And then I would say also a guitar making friend of mine who we're about the same. Well, no, what am I saying? He's younger than I am, but we're both sort of younger in the craft. But we spend most of the day sending each other tools, videos, and and giving each other feedback on guitar builds and furniture builds and stuff. And his name is Alex Williams, and his handle on Instagram is AK_acoustics, and he makes incredible guitars and is a school teacher. Awesome guy. And it's just helpful, like we were saying on the last episode, this can be a kind of solitary endeavor. And so we met over Instagram, liking each other's posts and stuff, and then just started chatting there, and it's become a wonderful and very validating, opinion to have. Hey, does this look right? Is this a good angle? How should I finish it? Am I done? did I do enough? Have I done too much? It's great to just have like a little good voice in your ear to give you some encouragement. Or to tell you definitely need to buy that expensive whatever.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So it's
the only solution.
You won't regret it. You won't regret it.
Yeah. Or should I sell whatever? No, definitely not.
No.
So
yes. Well, cool. Well, so
those would be my biggest influence.
Cool. Well, what is your white whale? The one thing that you haven't made but always wanted to.
This was really challenging because I have kind of two answers. One sort of like from a craft perspective, and then one emotionally, which is we had in the last 18 months, 2 of our dogs died. It was really hard, and I started kind of thinking about. I started sort of sketching kind of like a totem. That's the best word I've come up to say it. I was like, I should make a urn, but I don't really want to make an urn. I want to make like a thing. So so it's kind of I started making one, and it's just really emotional to do it. And I don't think I will ever make anything that I care about more. So I'm trying to be I'm being very self-critical and slow about it and really think it through. But so we've in our house, we've had 3 dogs who passed away in 15 years. And so I'm doing 3 different ones. I've designed 2 of them. They're each sort of in a material that reflects the sort of color of the dog, and they're each sort of like the kind of something that reminds us of the dog, and each one. And so so that's the one that's kind of like I have one almost finished, one I've totally designed, one I've designed and have no idea how I'm going to make it. So it's sort of like one is very like a hinged box that opens, that sort of looks like one of our dog's heads opening up, and then inside will be like a little picture of him. And then one is kind of based on an Eric Curtis whiskey cabinet, which is just a tall, lean thing that has kind of a pinched waist that will also open, and that'll be in ebony, a black and white ebony, for Axel, who's the dog in the movie. And then the last one is sort of a vessel. I don't know. It's a weird shape, and I don't know how to make it. But one day, maybe I'll post a picture on my thing. And if anybody has an idea of how to make this, or it seems like it should be carved, but I have no ability or facility to do that. So so in the planning stages of that.
So how big are these things?
They're about the first one's about 12 inches by maybe 9.
Okay.
And then the next one will be 18 by 9 round, and then the last one, someone will write in and tell us how big it will be.
So I'm curious, because I had the same needs too, with one of our dogs that passed away years ago, but we still have the ashes and stuff, and we need to do something with it. So are these like wall hanging, or are they going to be like something you would sit on, like a bookshelf or something?
On a cabinet. Yeah, that was the idea, was that it would be like a little box that would stand on a sort of bookcase.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'll show you. It's a really cool. it made me like sad and happy at the same time in the way that dogs make you sad and happy. And it was just a really validating thing when I was working on it. And our son and David would come up and take a look at them and kind of see the idea that come together. And it was really, really sweet, but also very sad. And I'd rather have the dog than the wood thing. But it's anyway, when they're done, once they're perfect and when they're done and perfectly, I'll post pictures of them and they'll be very, very nice. So that's probably the answer.
In the last year and a half, we lost a cat of 20 years, a cat of 18 years, and a dog of 18 years, all kind of in quick succession. I feel like we have brutal. All of their ashes. I don't know what I could possibly do to them. They're kind of just tucked in a corner, but always remembered.
But that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
That is a very good idea.
I started from like looking at the cheap, shitty box that they came in and just being like, this is not good enough. Like I don't like it. Yep. And I didn't know how to make a box at the time, when this was happening, and I wasn't really like in a good headspace to learn. But now I think I'll do the totems, and then I'll remake the boxes that they're in into something nicer.
What you get is nondescript. I mean, it's just whatever, and we know by size who they belong to, but otherwise there's nothing to identify them. So that's interesting. Very interesting.
Well, and I looked and I saw on Etsy first, I was like, oh, maybe there's somebody who's just doing something like this, and there really isn't. And like there are a couple people who are making like urns, and that's very commendable. But I was thinking like, oh, this could be like a cool space that somebody's like makes something that is sort of reflective of an animal, but isn't like a portrait exactly. It's just sort of an inspired idea of like what that might be. So anyway, that's something that's permanently on the docket.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is very interesting and very creative. I can't see your thought process, but I admire your thought process.
I
mean, both from the movie perspective and it's kind of I kind of see it all now coming together.
Yeah,
nice.
It works its way out. There's a lot of sketching in my process, and eventually,
for sure.
This is the one that I don't know how to do.
Nope.
Okay.
Stack lamination, power carving.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like you're telling me to buy more tools. That's what
no tools. I don't have any access to, but
maybe an offset turning.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
that'd be
with
very
some
cool.
carving afterwards.
Yeah,
but
I can see that.
Oh, very interesting. For those that are not seeing what we're seeing,
exactly.
Yeah.
Great podcast talk. Look at this picture in my notebook, everyone.
So then the next question: what is your number one tip for fellow woodworkers?
Okay. This goes for both woodworking and my job. Work from bad ideas. Bad ideas are great. Like it's great to have the worst possible idea because you can only improve from there. And it's a foundation. Like it's much easier to react to something than invent something of its own whole cloth. So oftentimes, if we're writing something, it's much better to write the whole thing and look at it as as an extant full idea than it is to sort of second guess yourself along the way. So I come from a process and a rehearsal room and all of the stuff that I've done in my life has come from a place of freedom and being able to not edit and being able to make a shitload of terrible mistakes and then work it out. Nothing's perfect out the gate. No, none of the cuts are perfect the first time, and I'm just finding ways to refine my process and go over and over and over and get better ideas. And I think that a lot of the woodworking self-critique that I hear and see is people sort of beating themselves up for not doing it great, not having an impossibly difficult skill mastered the first time or something. And you're like, that makes complete sense. It makes complete sense that you're not good at building this very difficult chair first time. It should be bad. Like bad is great. And you can work from bad. So that was one that, and then another thing is just random that I just do in both jobs as well, which is just like write down an order of operation, like, do this and then this and then this and then this, and then you'll see what you're missing. It's a lot easier than to put it on paper and sort of make a script than look at everything, keep everything in your head. So I try to get stuff on paper as much as possible. And then my last one, this is just a personal thing that I have found for myself, is if I do like, oh, I'm going to do something really difficult, should I do it on the expensive wood or the cheap wood? If I do it on the cheap wood, I will f it up. If I do it on the expensive wood, I will pay attention. So that's just a personal one, is like, I don't do scrap cuts or anything. I'm just like, get whole hog, go for it,
Fair.
So, but that might come back to working from bad ideas. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, I love that. I don't think we ever heard that, but like, it's a very, like, inspiring kind of thing. Maybe don't do it from your, like, after you've done a lot of work, like,
sure.
That was a terrible idea. Like in the conceptual stage, like, troubleshoot the bad ideas, and it will inform better ideas. It naturally will do. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think it becomes sort of self-rewarding. It becomes its own kind of method, where it doesn't have to, if you're not expecting this to be a perfect object, like a computer didn't make it. A computer didn't make this guitar. A computer didn't make the chair. And that's what's good about it. It has my hands on it, so it's like, if the facets are overcut, did I do something wrong? It's okay. Like, it'll work itself out. So yeah, I think that's a good piece of advice, and maybe a good piece of life advice. How about it?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, next up is, and I think we might have beat this subject to death in between the episodes as we were talking, but what's your go-to finish?
Okay. So I really like a Maloof finish, and then what the holdback I held for the show is, I love this Renaissance microcrystalline wax, mostly because I like to smell it.
It does have an interesting smell. Yeah,
I think it smells great. It's something from my childhood. Maybe we put this on something. I don't know, but I love it, and I don't know if it does anything to the project, but I like it. I also put it on all the tools, blades, planer, whatever. Yeah. It works great. And then other than that, just if you have the time and you can put on a podcast and wait for it to dry, just raw dog some tongue oil, pure tongue oil, and see what it looks like afterwards. Very pretty.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, cool. Well, with that, Brian, where can folks find you on the interwebs and find your upcoming movie?
So you can find my woodworking stuff at _liminal_object on Instagram, and the movie's Instagram is at I Don't Understand You Movie, and the movie's coming out June 6th in theaters in America. Please go see it. You'll like it. It's funny.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. We highly recommend it. And and thanks so much, Brian, for coming on the show. This is the first time. We've had a lot of woodworkers, but I think you're the first filmmaker we've had on.
Well, maybe you'll get Offerman after me. He'd be great.
Oh man,
good get. And thank you guys so much for having me. I love the show, and I listen to it all the time. And thank you.
Well, we appreciate it, and like we said, congratulations on the movie, and looking forward to, like I said, a part 2.
Oh, thank you very much.
And that just about wraps it up for this show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the show on the podcatcher of your choice. Just search for the Modern Woodworkers Association. And while you're there, please leave us a review. You can follow us on Instagram at MWA_podcast. And if you'd like to support the podcast, go over to patreon.com/MWA podcast. But the best thing you can do is tell a friend. Word of mouth goes a long way in sharing our discussion.